on the East Coast, so we'll kick this off. Looking at this screen share, there's too many words here, but this is our title slide for today, Lead Generation Tactics. So building off of last week and a couple of other webinars we've done, a lot of the feedback has been, this is really helpful. This is good to position my business as far as business planning, strategy, but what can I do specifically? What can I do today? What can I add right now? So we're going to talk about tactics specific. I think we've got 12 here that we're going to get into. And I like this caveat without working more. So it's not going to be just work more hours, regaining control of your calendar so you will be able to schedule these activities. And ideally, if you have more of a return on your time, you'll be working less than you were before. So it's not just working more, working harder, spending more on ads. None of these are purchase leads. So I have a very passionate thought on that, if you do not have a business that can generate its own leads, if you fully rely on purchasing leads, you do not have a sustainable business. I do not think you should purchase leads at all, but that is a fairly controversial topic we're going to get into today. I was updating some older slides for today's presentation, and I found some that I've used in the past that I really like, including this one. My love-hate slide. Love real estate. It's given me a lot of opportunities to do a lot of the cool things that I have been able to do professionally so far. But I hate that a lot of the people that I speak to, their business, their results, their revenue, their paychecks are tied to the market. Market good, pay is good. Market bad, I'm starting to look for a job. So what we need to do and keep in focus here with any of the tactics that we talk about, how can this work for me specifically? And two, how can this be something that withstands a bad market? So it's not just when the market's good, I'm going to get a couple more leads. The market's bad, I'm going to tank. We don't want that. We want a system that can withstand the ebbs and flows of the market, which we know is not going to change. The market will continue to shift up and down, and we can't have it dictate the success of our business. So today, how today works: confidential and private. So you do not need to worry about having your face on screen if you don't want to. I can make you a panelist if that's of interest. It is recorded, so we'll have it on demand. Comments and questions, you can raise your hand, send comments and questions my way. I try to do my best to answer them as soon as they come in, but admittedly, I'm terrible at checking. So let me know if send it again if it doesn't get my attention initially, then I will answer all questions and try to post them in our school community as well as on YouTube. Q&A is enabled only to me. So if you do have chats or have a chat, comment, question, and answer, they do come directly to me. You don't have to worry about other people seeing them if you don't want to get a question attributed to you. So today's outcome, I want you to think in terms of three: financial, time, and location. Financially, again, we want dependable income, predictable outcomes each and every month. So it's not just I have a seasonal economy. These months in the season, I'll do well. Again, market good, results good. No, we don't want that. Time, we want things as able to put onto a calendar to schedule as much as possible so we can get the best return for our time and energy and our money as possible. It's not just I'm going to be open 24/7. That is not a sustainable business model. Frankly, it's not even a good business model. Location. This means a couple things. Some people don't want to see people. They want to work from a computer screen. They want to work remotely. They want to be at the beach. They want to be in the mountains. That is a possibility depending on how you set up your business. More likely for those of you watching this in real estate, you've heard location, location, location. You want to identify where you want to work. Where is the properties that you want to list? Where are the buyers that you want to work with? Look at that core client. Where are they? Who are they? How can you work exclusively, if not as the majority of your business with them? What does that not mean? Things like, although I work all the time and harder than I ever have, I don't make a consistent paycheck. So we want to kind of dispel the I need to work more to earn more. We want to get rid of the mindset that I'm an hourly, if I work X amount of hours, I can make this amount of money. I'm always working and have no control of my schedule. 24/7, not a good business model. We want to have time for things like our family, for our personal lives. We want to sit down and have a meal without answering a text message. And then the one we've kind of hit on a couple times, market determines success of my business. You do not have a sustainable actual business if you just get a lot of calls and the market is good. So we want to build a business that withstands market shifts, that gives you predictable income and predictable outcomes. 3 questions that I want you to think of as you watch this, especially as we're talking tactics today. What can I solve today? What problem am I looking to alleviate? Sometimes with lead generation, it's just about having more conversations. So looking at these vehicles for those conversations, which of those might accomplish that end? So who is this for? This specific presentation is for someone looking to start more conversations in real estate, generate more leads. We're not going to get into conversion. We're not going to get into client fulfillment, client journeys today. It's going to be someone who's looking to meet more people in real estate. This can be direct clients. This can be referral partners. This can be people who can make introductions for you. Why are you presenting this workshop? This is a big piece of what I do at AccomplishedRE. I'll get a little bit into my background here. My journey, I will give you the abridged high level, as if you're watching this, you probably know a little bit about me. I kind of fell into real estate. It was my first and only job offer out of college. So went there, showed up first day, and there was a stack of paper and a telephone on the desk. I'll joke that I'm old, but I'm not that old. There should have been a laptop, or at least a desktop, but that's not what I walked into. I had a lot of uncomfortable conversations at that first job. It taught me everything I needed to know about real estate, or at least the foundation of it, as you can't really know everything in real estate. But I did not think that I was in sales. I wasn't really selling anything. It was more of an information exchange as I worked at a trend and forecasting company in the research role. But I leave sales there as really we're all in a sales role. We're solving something for someone else to make money. So when opportunities, problems come up, like, oh, this sucks. My job is hard because I got to deal with this problem. Well, that's what we do. We solve problems. The bigger the problem, the bigger the paycheck generally. So we're all selling something. We're all selling our services, our skills, our business, a solution to someone else's problem at the very least. My background, corporate, legal, and continuous improvement. I'm a lawyer by background as well. So I've seen real estate deals from, I like to say every angle, but at least most of them. About 10 years ago, I was in a corporate role that one day we had an all hands meeting, and it was announced that in, I think, 90 days, that my job would be relocated. I decided in that moment right there that I was never going to have all of my income tied up with one income stream, and that I was going to have more of a proactive, if not a fully active role in determining where I worked and being able to pull different levers for my income. So with that, I view myself as an entrepreneur, that I run a business. There's a few facets. As I mentioned, I'm a real estate attorney, broker associate with eXp Realty. I'm the director here at AccomplishedRE, coaching programs and real estate community. I also do some project work involved with a local municipality here where I am on Cape Cod. Cultivate and leverage multiple revenue sources. So that's what we're looking to do today. We want to enhance and improve the things that we're doing, maybe establish a new income stream, but we want the mindset to be that I don't have all of my eggs in one bucket, that there's different things I can do, whether that's a different clientele, a different piece of your business, a different business altogether. How can we tie them together based on what we do? So we're not going to get into too much of building different revenue streams today, but we are going to talk about lead generation tactics that can be used in multiple different streams. Goals for today, we hit on the time, location, financial freedom pieces. Really, we're trying to market proof, we're not tie our results to the market, and increase profitability as a whole. We want to get off of the transaction treadmill, I lead generate to get a client, I work with that client, I sell that client property, I sell their home, now I need to get a new client. We're doing all those things at once. We're generating leads, we're converting clients, we're generating leads, we're converting those leads to clients, we're bringing those clients to the journey to where they want to go, and we're doing all 3 at once. That's the hard thing for most people, that they kind of just focus what's in front of their face, and they do not have a long-term vision, long-term business plan. So we're going to think in those terms. Again, really, we're going to talk about tactics later today. Generally, the agents that I work with are in one of three boats, if not all. They want to grow their business, they want to scale their business, they want to exit or reduce the work that they put into their business. So think of it in those terms. Hey, I sold 15 houses last year. I want to sell 25. Hey, I've got a great one person operation. I want to build a team. How can I scale this out? How can I build different offices? I work too much. How can I exit my business? So think of it in terms when we are looking at building out our lead generation machine, which of those makes the most sense for you? Think of your business that is greater than any market. We've hit on that a lot, so I won't harp on it. But next, a job is your profitable business. Even if you are a W-2 employee, you can set it up as a way where it is your business. Look at it entrepreneurially. Are there ways that you can leverage it for additional revenue streams? Do not look at your real estate career simply as a job. If you will, it will hit a wall at some point. It might not be this year, it might be 5 years, but it'll be down the road. It might be tomorrow. So look at it that you're running a profitable business and that this is your business and you are in control. Improve and never stop. This is a continuous journey, continuous improvement. I like to say the best is wonderful. Best is really hard. By definition, there's only one person. So you probably are not the best in your market, but you might be damn good. And that's okay. You are damn good at getting better every day, even better. So never stop improving. Think in terms, easy way to frame this 1 year from now. What does good look like? What does better look like? This is working well today. How could this be better? This is not working well today. In 1 year, this is the results I want to see. I left this slide here because I like these three stories. It helps think of the bigger picture or the strategic piece of what we're talking about. It's looking at change and it's looking about looking at how we view things or how our mind will shape the outcomes that we have. The first is the QWERTY keyboard story. Anybody watching this on a laptop or familiar with a keyboard on any phone, on any computer, that the QWERTY is the top line of letters in the keyboard. And most people say, well, why is the keyboard lined up that way? And say, it must be because it's easier to type that way. And the answer is no, it is not. It was one of the initial keyboard designs. It is the most common that everyone knows about. It is certainly not it is proven that it is not the fastest, most efficient keyboard for typing. But change is hard. And those other keyboard designs where there's a different order of letters, there is a different configuration of keys, those have all failed business-wise over the years because people don't want to change. They learn on this keyboard, they are familiar with this keyboard, and they don't want to change. Even though it is proven there's a faster, better way to do it, don't want to change. So if you look down, you notice, yep, that is still the keyboard that we have. So just know that there's opposition to change. So saying that change is hard is obvious, but what we're talking about today are more efficient, more reliable ways to do things, but they are not necessarily going to be easy. They are simple in that it's not complicated in what you're doing. But anytime there's change, that there is that piece that needs to, whether it's mindset or not, that needs to go through some sort of A to B progress or A to B change. So know that it is not as simply as flipping a switch or just saying, oh, this is more efficient, I'm going to do this. Even if that's how you operate your business, you're working with people who don't like change. That could be your admin team, your marketing team, your brokerage, your clients. So change is something that people need to get have different levels of comfort with and that are generally resistant to. So keep that in mind, both as we are talking about lead generation tactics today and ways that you serve your clients going forward. The next is admittedly the favorite of mine of these three stories, the $10,000 consultant. So Brian Tracy, he does great work. This is from Focal Point, one of his books. Really everything he does is wonderful. So if you see anything, book or presentations, speech, check him out. He's great. He tells a story of a consultant. There was a power plant, I believe, of some kind, that they had a malfunctioning system and were down to 20% operation, losing millions of dollars a day. They could not figure out which of their systems, because it's a very complicated setup they had, which of their systems was broken. So they find an engineer who is an expert in solving these problems. He gets on a plane, he flies there, walks into their plant, walks around, finds where the problem is, makes an X on a sticky note, sticks the sticky note to one of the systems, says, you need to fix this, um, walks out and flies back home. Ultimately, the engineers that were on site in the power plant, since it was identified which system was broken, they fixed it and they were back up and running at 100% later that day. So the reason they couldn't do this on their own, had to hire the consultant, was because of his expertise. There was hundreds, if not thousands, of possible systems to go through a diagnostic and check, which they had started to do on their own, but couldn't figure it out. There's just too many options to view. So the next day in the mail, or in an email, I don't recall exactly. Let's call it an email. Consultant submits a $10,000 bill for his fix. So you're thinking he was there 20 minutes. Well, that's the same thing that the CEO of the plant said. So, hey, I need to break this out for me. $10,000 for 20 minutes is pretty steep. Can you give me an itemized invoice? Sure, no problem. A few minutes later, another email pops up in his inbox. Again, because all you did during that 20 minutes is you marked an X on the sticky note and put it on the system that needs to be repaired. So after that minute comes by, invoice comes up, marking an X on the sticky note, $1, knowing which system to place it on, $9,999. Point of this story is, do not think of yourself as, I did this amount of showings, I was in the office for this amount of time, I'm trading my time for money. You are an expert in what you do. You solve people's problems. You are worth more than trading your time for an hourly rate. Here, $10,000, again, for 20 minutes, that sounds like a lot. Keep in mind the scenario that we ran through. This plant was losing millions daily because they were running at a 20% efficiency, and they couldn't figure it out themselves. So they would have continued those losses going forward. So $10,000 to quell $1 million daily loss, that's a great deal, even if it is just 20 minutes, because they did not have the expertise in-house. So be that expert, have that mindset that you're not trading your time for money. And then lastly, the freezer car story. This is a morbid story, but I think it's important to share. The story comes out of Oklahoma, where there was a man working on in a lab, and he accidentally got locked in a freezer car. Excuse me, a freezer car that was on a train. So it's a very cold, as you're aware, train or car on the train, and unfortunately, the sad part of the story, he was trapped overnight. As time was going on, as the hours continued, no one heard him, and he started to write with his finger, "It is cold. I cannot feel my hands. I cannot feel my feet. I am not going to make it." And unfortunately, the next day when he was found, he did not make it. He perished overnight. The interesting part of the story and why I tell it is not because it's a morbid or sad story. It certainly is those things, but the freezer car was actually not activated, and it was not below freezing temperatures in that car that night. I believe the temperature was 49 degrees. So 49 degrees, certainly cold, and certainly uncomfortable for someone to spend overnight, but generally that is not going to end your life. What the story kind of ties together or hints at is that the mindset that he had was that, this is so cold, I can't make it. That coupled with the surroundings led to the very sad outcome. So again, I don't bring this story up because of the sadness of the story, but to tie up that actually it was this gentleman's mind that led to his ultimate demise. That he believed he could not make it. He believed that his surroundings were too unbearable, and ultimately that played a part, if not was a driving force, into the reason why he had the outcome that he did. All right, so changing gears here, approach and expectations. We talked a little bit about high level strategy. We're going to get into the logistics, the tactics, things you can do on the ground today. As you can see, not highest value production wise, just general information here on these slides. I want to make it accessible to anybody who wants to watch it, give it a try. A big thing, these last two bullet points are the highlights that I want to really hammer home. One, I believe that there is no one solitary way, that anybody who says, here is the one way, here's a way to do it, and the only way, they're probably full of it. They are not giving you the true information. I believe so the way and the only way doesn't exist, but there probably is a way. There is one way that is specific or unique to your skill set, to your market, to where you are in your business life, in your professional career. So what I'm saying is, if someone is telling you, hey, this is the only way to do it, probably not something you want to spend a lot of time on. You want there to be an option of ways to do things, and you want to be able to meld them, make them tailored to your business, to your situation. That hits the second part, circumstances and systems. Even if there is somebody in your market who did the things that you want to do, their circumstances are different than yours. So even if you copied everything they did, you're going to have a different outcome. Somebody 2 years ago sold this many houses. He did these things. I'm going to copy it exactly. Not going to have the same outcome. What you want to do is take into account your circumstances, how they are different from somebody that you're replicating or modeling, or understanding that the circumstances you face in this time are always going to be different than everything that came before you. Even if everything else is similar, it's a different time. So, and it's a different, there's different players involved. So having systems, having framework are good starting points, but you want to tailor them to you, your personality, and your business. Pausing, not seeing any questions, we'll move on. So last week in our webinar, lead generation was the topic. The three areas that we talked about was connecting. Once you connect, you add value, and there's a call to action or an ask for that business. So those are the three high-level areas when it comes to lead generation: connection, add value, and the ask for the business. We also previously talked about Alex Hormozi's core four. These are how we should think, these four buckets are how we should think about all of the 12 tactics we're about to go over next. But there's two categories in each side. There's warm and cold, and there's one-to-one and one-to-many. And there's one in each of the categories. So one-to-one, warm, reach out to people that you know. Pretty easy. People in your phone, people in your CRM, people you've emailed, people you've worked with. Warm outreach, one-to-one. People who don't know you, cold outreach, one-to-one. That could be a cold email, somebody you have not met before, a phone call to an expired, a phone call to somebody who you do not have a relationship, one-to-one cold. Moving down to the bottom, one-to-many, one-to-public. People who know you, content. You post on social, you send out mailers. You can scale that, send it to many people. Doesn't need to be addressed specifically to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Gets out to a larger audience, that warm audience, people who know who you are. One to public, people who don't know you, that's running a paid ad, getting in front of a different audience. So that's how we want to think about lead generation. It's going to fit in one of these four buckets, either one-to-one, one-to-many, and warm or cold. So now, finally, on to what are these tactics that you are referencing. So I've only got the titles of each today. I'm going to go over each one. If you're interested in any one specific in more detail, let me know, message me, and I can give you the playbook, the frameworks, or if useful, we can go over how it can be implemented into your business. These are in no particular order. I do like the three up top here, probably the most advanced, but all of these have worked, can work, will work if implemented, and it makes sense for your business. Again, these are all different ways to do it. There's no single way that works only if you follow these exact steps. These are different options. We'll go over them and we'll go from there. So first, the Reconnect plan or the Connect plan. We all have a sphere of influence. We all have a cell phone. We all have a CRM. We all have email. There's contacts in there, whether it's 3 people, whether it's just your 2 family members, whether it's 300, whether it's 35,000. you have a Rolodex, a list of people, names, and contacts. Most likely, myself included, you don't do a good job of staying connected with them. Use the opportunity here to reconnect with them. So looking at our 3 steps of lead generation: connect, add value, ask. You've connected some way in the past. Now you're in that add value. What can you do to reach back out? It can simply be, I'm not very good at staying in touch. I'm reaching out for XYZ purpose. You live in this neighborhood. We had a conversation about, and this happened. I was thinking about you today. Or simply, I've noticed it's been 2 years since we connected. How are things? The more value you provide that person, the more specific you tailor that connection, that reconnection, more likelihood you'll get a response. But just reconnect today. So whoever is in your cell phone, who's ever in your CRM, who's ever in your family, your friends, reach out to them. Keep a spreadsheet, keep a log in your email, keep a CRM, and follow up regularly. Figure out what makes sense for the timing for your business as far as what the content of that message is. There's plenty of things on Google, on YouTube. You can get specifics. Use ChatGPT for, hey, I haven't talked to this person. Here's who they are. Here's what I'm doing. What should my contact be? Personalize it. Don't just copy and paste. But those are ways to build that communication with people that you already know. So this is one to many on a one-to-one level that you can scale some of this. You don't want to leave the email with a high first name type thing. You want to personalize it where possible, but just think of this as a connection or reconnection. People who already are in your phone, already in your database, ways that you can restart that conversation. 2, this is absolutely my favorite, especially for somebody new starting out in the business. It's what I call the promise. I've got a larger webinar on this, and I've got a playbook and a checklist, all this stuff around what the promise is. But what you're doing is you're making a promise to a seller that you will not rest until they sell that property. And if it's your listing, I will not rest until I sell your listing. The first comment I generally get with that is, wonderful. If I had listings, I wouldn't be watching your webinar. I wouldn't be looking for lead generation tactics. I would be looking for ways to sell that property. So how is this helpful to me? Well, the beauty of the promise is it doesn't have to be your listing. You just need permission to use it. So it could be a teammate of yours, it could be somebody in your brokerage, could be somebody else in your MLS, could be any of those things. Do you have permission to promote their property? What you're asking for, it's like, hey, Jim, I saw your listing 123 Main Street. It's a great listing. I think I've got a lot of people in my sphere who might be interested. Is it all right if I use it in promotion? Well, what are you thinking of? I would like to tell you that if it's okay with you, I promise you, I will call everyone in this zip code, in this neighborhood, in this town, in this city, in this state, whatever makes sense, to try to sell this property. And I will not rest until I get it sold. Sure. So you're going to advertise it as Jim's listing and you are trying to sell it. Yes. Once you have that promise in place, generally the seller or the listing agent, if it's not, if you're not the listing agent, they're going to say, okay, depending on your brokerage, depending on your MLS, follow those rules, blah, blah, blah. But what you do then is the important piece. You reach out to everybody that you said you would. Hey, Mr. Smith, do you know that 123 Main Street is for sale? Right now, it's like, so what, kid? Well, I am working with Jim, the listing agent, and I promised him I was going to talk to every single person in this neighborhood about the property. Okay. Now he's interested because you are demonstrating your vision to have kind of a different plan than every other real estate agent out there. B, you're actually executing it besides just giving the lip service to, I'm going to sell this property. You're following through. You've contacted him somehow. Now you're in a real estate conversation. And that is the big thing that you want for all of these. You are looking to speak to people about real estate. Some people will tell you, ask everybody you meet if they're interested in buying or selling property. I hate that approach because I do not like to be told to go somewhere I don't want to go, or to be ignored, or to not to be called back, or to be ghosted. So I think that will certainly work, but the return on that call is probably 1 out of 100 that are going to say, yes, I'm interested in buying or selling real estate today. Let's continue. But when your conversation is about an actual listing and one that you might not be, that you're not positioning yourself as, hey, 123 Main Street's available. Are you interested in buying it? That might be the result of the conversation, but you're demonstrating your professionalism, you're demonstrating your commitment with your promise. So I promise to speak to everyone in this town with before I've I've talked to everyone in this town until this property gets sold, and I promised that I would continue to do it until closing day. Wow, I'm impressed, kid. That or I shouldn't say kid. I'm impressed that you've done this, and I'm not interested in that property, but you know what? I know my neighbor's kid is looking for a house. Maybe you want to reach out to him, or my wife's sister is trying to move into this neighborhood. Let me put you in touch with her. Or you know what? I'm not really at all interested in 123 Main Street, but I really appreciate your initiative. I'm thinking about selling my house. Can you come by on Friday and we'll talk and give me your thoughts? You're having a real conversation with people who are in your market or ideally your core client. So find a listing that is representative or would be of interest to your core clients, position it in a way where you will not you will have these conversations. You will not stop until the property is sold, and that you are one trying to sell the property, obviously. And two, you're having real estate conversations that are not hard sells. Three, drive for dollars. This I've talked about in the past as well. Uh, in real estate, you are on the road a lot. You are driving through in amongst neighborhoods with possible listings for you to sell. Is there anything interesting going on? Is somebody carrying furniture in or out of a house? Is there an apartment with a lot of trash and a lot of new boxes for appliances maybe out front? Is there a dumpster in the driveway? Is is the grass overgrown? Is the property newly painted? What did you observe? Is there something that you can have one of those real estate conversations about, or conversations about with the property owner, with the tenant, with the landlord, with the property management company? This is a real estate conversation. Hey, I noticed the window on the second floor is broke. I had no idea what happened. Oh, thank you for letting me know. Yes, we will get that fixed. The tenants recently moved out. Something must have happened there. Or hey, I noticed the property across the street was for sale as I was driving through the neighborhood. Have you had a chance to look at it? No, I didn't see that sign. Or yes, of course, it's across the street from me. Do you know if there's been a lot of traffic, or what do you know about the property? These are conversations. These are not hard sells. That's what you want to do. Again, each one of these tactics we talk about today, the idea is to engage your lead in a conversation about real estate. It is not simply, are you interested in buying or selling real estate today? The next two, the 5x5 and the 3x5, these are accountability. So if you have problems following through, these could be for you. 5x5 is saying that you're going to have 5 real estate conversations every day of the week, every weekday. So for Monday through Friday, Saturday through Wednesday, whatever you want to call it, 5 days a week, you're going to have 5 real estate conversations with 5 different people. And you don't stop until you have those conversations. You log them, you follow up accordingly. The 3x5 is a little different. That's saying that there are 3 different categories that you're going to have conversations with every day. So you can do this daily, 7 days a week, one day a week, whatever makes sense. But the 3x5 is you have 5 conversations with people that you know. You have 5 conversations with people that you don't know, and you have 5 conversations with people that you're following up with. So ideally, they build off each other. The people you know, people you don't know, will be perhaps part of your Reconnect plan or your outreach. And the follow-ups could be how you end those initial conversations. Hey, it was great reconnecting today. I'm going to follow up in a month. Let me know XYZ. Or I'm going to follow up in a month because we're going to have this to talk about. So the 3 categories again: people you know, people you don't know, and follow-up conversations. So between the 5x5 and the 3x5, this is a way that you will speak to more people, have more conversations, which is what we're trying to do here. The event. People love events. People love things to go to. They love it even more when they're not the ones planning for it, paying for it, worried about the logistics, where they just have to show up, especially if it's tailored around something they like. So hosting events that can be fundraisers for your nonprofit, that can be going to a basketball game, it can be anything in between. So what is the event? The one you see a lot in real estate is the past clients thank you, the passing out pies at Thanksgiving, the giving candy at Halloween type thing. So there's plenty of ways that you can do, if events are your things, you can make these weekly, where you're getting people together. You don't have to be talking about real estate. They'll see you as a human being, and that you are personable and you know other people, and that they have worked with you and they're happy with you and they're showing up to your events. So using events as a way to build uh, rapport, build new relationships, to network, to again get in front of people and have online. That's another great way to do it. But you've got, the events does not necessarily mean they need to be physically in the same place. Zoom is a great tool. You can have networking calls, groups, whatever they are. But be straightforward in what you're doing. That if you are doing these events just so you can sell real estate, um, personally, I think that's not a great thing. I think it's pretty terrible, because you are not communicating your true intentions, and that will generally come out. And even if it doesn't, when it comes out, people are not going to be happy that they feel duped into working with you. But if you have a fundraiser for an event that is in, a cause that's important to you, people will get to see the real you, and they'll say, yes, I want to work with somebody like that. Or, they may not connect with you, and that's okay. But they're getting to see you. You're having that connection. Again, it's the first piece in lead generation. Where is the connection coming from? It's a way to do it. So there's the first six. We've got six more coming up here. FSBO and the expired. Everyone, I should say, most people in real estate understand FSBO, for sale by owner, and the expired, properties that were once listed that did not sell. There is countless scripts for both of these groups, but the idea here is to think about people who attempted to sell a property and did not. So that means at one point they're ready, willing, and able to sell, and the property did not sell. So the easy conversation starter is, what you had your property on the market on this date, it did not sell. Why? The hard part with that is you're asking that of somebody who they listed their own property and didn't sell. They're probably not going to be all that excited to talk about it. One, they did it themselves, so they did not want to work with the real estate agent then. They probably still don't want to work with the real estate agent. And you reminded them of something that didn't work out well. So it's a difficult conversation, but you've got somebody with an asset property that did not sell, and they might be interested in doing that again. There's a lot of opportunity in this market if you're okay with navigating that initial conversation. Same with the expired. Um, Generally, word of advice, I do not like the approach of calling expired. Hey, I saw you listed your property with Jim from XYZ Realty. Well, XYZ Realty sucks, and so does Jim. No wonder why it didn't sell. If your plan is to trash the other brokerage, the other agent, even if you get that listing, word will quickly spread that you use negativity toward your colleagues, your competitors, um, and that will, at the very least, is bad karma. At the worst, will get you off people's radar, because they say, no, I don't want to work with that guy because he's negative, and he just trashes everyone else and every other realty, every other brokerage. Instead, with the expired, what you want to do is give a reason for your call, for your contact. Some of the best that I've seen are um, very making no assumptions. There is obviously your property's on the market and it didn't sell. Here is what might be useful. And it might be something like if there's a empty property that somebody's home that they're looking to sell, and instead say, well, I know that this property remains empty for 6 months of the year because you're traveling. Say, here is a plan to have tenants for 6 months of the property. And actually, I know of a family who's looking for something like that. Would this be of interest to you? So providing something of value. Again, there's that connection, there's that value. Uh, may not be valuable to them. They might say, I don't know you, I'm not doing business with you, or I'm not interested in that solution. Or they might say, I never thought of that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So the takeaway for these two, this is a uh, listing or groups of uh, homeowners who have a property that at one point, for sure, they were interested to sell it because it was on the market and didn't sell. As far as navigating the next step, it can be difficult, can be tricky, but there's tons of videos, scripts on ways to handle either of those buckets. The next is the circle. So this is focusing in on a certain geography, again, a certain zip code, a certain type of core client, let's say you're trying to work with people interested in buying property at or on a golf course, or at near a beach, or at near a marina, or second homeowners. You make a circle around that group and you use one of the tactics that we're talking about, and you use that as your anchor in your conversation. Again, real estate conversation is what we're after. We are not, hey, are you interested in buying or selling a property today? It can work. It is not a very good way to do it, and it is I would say, 98% failure rate. So that would be my warning against it. What you're trying to do here is you've got a common, whether again it's the location or it's the property buyer or seller. This is your core client. You can help them because you are uniquely positioned. You are that $10,000 consultant for them. I know you're trying to do X. I can get you there. Here's how I've done it in the past. Here's how I can do it. Have you thought about this? That's one of the fastest ways to amplify your reputation, uh, your expertise within a certain core or within a group by focusing there and actually delivering on that value. So it's easy to say, I'm interested in working with luxury buyers and sellers. I'm going to call people who have $2 million plus homes. Hi, I'm interested in selling luxury property. Are you interested in selling your property? Click. Most people are not going to listen to that. But if you've got a proven strategy, hey, I've got a 9-step strategy to list and sell any property, any luxury property in this market. Would you be interested? Because I know that your neighbors across the street just sold their property and they sold it for 40% above asking. Is that something that no, it's not of interest to you now? Is it something of interest later? Um, do you know why they sold their property across the street? So you kind of you have something to talk about, you have value to provide, and again, it's that real estate conversation that you are looking to engage in. The inbound, the warm lead, this is the holy grail of lead generation. This is when people call you to say, I want to do business with you. This is where people want to get. The easiest way to think about it is the referral, is the introduction. Somebody that you've worked with in the past, they might come back. They might refer you to, you did an outstanding job. So they say, hey, I'd like you to work with my brother, my sister, my mom and dad are selling their house type thing. My neighbor, I couldn't think of anybody else but you to recommend. Same with introduction. There's people that you work with, people that know how great you are. They may not be a client of yours. They may never be a client of yours, but they may make the best introductions for you. So it's a little different than a referral partner. It's an introduction partner. Kind of think of it as somebody who will introduce you. You know, they are referring you, but they're allowing you to sell yourself, sell your services. So who does that make sense? You know, the example I like to give is the handyman or the landscaper. You know, they know the property owners. They know when a property a property owner might be interested in selling or getting an opinion of value. Can you make that introduction for me? They're not necessarily, become repeat business, but they are making that introduction where, hey, homeowner, you need to meet Jim because he's really good at selling properties at this price point in this market, working with families who are looking to relocate. Whatever that is, have those people making the introduction. Lastly, we're thinking about inbound warm lead is, do you have something you can give away? The easy one to think of is the CMA. It's like, here's a valuation of your property. Because it's easy, it's very low value. People are not all that impressed with generally a computer generated CMA. So that might do it. But what you're trying to do is provide something with no expectation of a return call or email, that when they are interested and say, hey, that person did this for me, I'm going to reach out to them. So this is something we want to work toward through with all of the other tactics that we've gone through. Same with the collaboration. Just using the example of the landscaper, the handyman, are there projects, are there events, are there things that we can do to help increase business for both of us? So this one's kind of big, but know who is a complementary collaborator in your market, in your niche, with your sphere. How can you get together? The easy one is the person who is working with a financial planner, working with a mortgage broker, a real estate agent. They are complementary, an insurance broker type thing, landscaper, the CPA, the general contractor. All of these people Work with people who own property. How can you build out each other's businesses? How can you help support each other, make introductions, make referrals, perhaps do events together, things like that. So understanding what is of interest to your core clients, how can you build up, uh, how can you multiply the impact that you have by collaborating with people outside of your industry? Sometimes there are other real estate agents. Generally, that is not going to be all that multiplier of value, but maybe there's you are somebody who works well with properties at the beach. They work well with second homes, and coming together, you've got a unique selling or value proposition to your core clients. So lots of opportunities there. How can you help others multiply your business where 1 + 1 is more than just two? Uh, Similar way to think about it is the investor. Real estate investing is something that has always been popular the last few years. I think it's become a lot more popular for people. People like to say they invest in real estate one way or another. But the idea here is you have people with money, might be a group, might be an individual, but they're looking to buy property, perhaps sell property, have property managed. How can you make this easy for them? Going back to problem solving. It might not be easy for you, it might be a difficult problem to solve, but if you can relieve a headache, remove a problem for them, again, they have money, they have capital, they're looking to buy, sell property. They're good clients if that's your business model. So, how can you solve their problems? Maybe they're not physically in a market, maybe they don't know a market, maybe they're not aware of opportunities, maybe you have uh, properties that are coming online that they may not know of for weeks or months, or properties that get sold before they're mass marketed. Whatever that is, investors are a good kind of proxy here, a good group to think of. They have money. They have people, they have interest in buying and selling property. How can you solve their problems? Make it easy for them. Not easy for you. Remember, the more difficult the problem you solve, likely the more you can get paid. And then just lastly here, I've got the question mark as our last option. That is there a hybrid of any of these? Is there a piece of these that you're doing now that you could do better, that you do differently? Can you combine a couple of these? Again, there is no magic recipe. There's no potion. There's no silver bullet. These are frameworks. These are outlines. All of these can work. Most likely, all of them will not work for you. If you do all of them, maybe pick two or three, put them together, try them individually. Um, Pilot them. Don't do it for 20 minutes and say, oh, this is not going to work. I'm going to do something else and go back to what I did. Change is hard. Remember that. So put some of these in place, track where your time, your energy, and money are going. See where your leads are coming from. Are these the leads that convert? Are these leads actually, yes, I'm having 100 more real estate conversations, but it's not actually turning into business. Then we might have a lead generation problem. So something to consider on a future webinar. Not seeing any questions. I'm going to move forward here. Just wrapping up. Big things we want to think about. There's lots of different ways to have real estate conversations. That's what we should be looking to do, as opposed to have the conversation, do you want to be my client right now in this moment? Because 99 out of 100, if not 100 out of 100, people are not interested in that if they don't know you, and it's very unlikely that they are. Not only they don't know you, they're not trying to work with you to buy or sell property in that moment. So have more real estate conversations, be knowledgeable, be an expert for your core clients, for your geography, for your location. You actually have to do the work and do the research so to be expert in those discussions, but have more real estate conversations, not always selling. Remember, that's just one piece. It's the connection, the add value piece. That's what you're doing with a lot of these. And then at some point, there's the call to action is to ask for their business. So appreciate you sticking around to the end.